Welcome YouTube, this is Emperor Dion. So, I've made videos talking towards primarily black men before, but today's video, I already mentioned how I think one of the biggest problems with black men is that a lot of black men just want to talk about box, but I want to hone in on this topic too, because this is going to be very related to that, but I'm going to be focusing more specifically on degeneracy, and specifically black men's problem with degeneracy. Degeneracy, in my opinion, is, if not the biggest problem with black men, it's up there. It's at least top 3 biggest problems with black men. It's one of those things to where if black men got this under control, it would probably do a lot of good for the demographic, to be honest with you, because like this right here, degeneracy, all men are degenerate to some level. Like, we all want sex, we all want the peace sleeve, we all want that slimy warm hole. Most men, regardless of race, do. But with black men take this to an extreme that goes beyond just simple lust. It's beyond. It encompasses every fiber of the black male identity and our image, because other people know this about us too, that black men are heavily swayed by degeneracy. So it's a big problem, because not only do other people recognize and exploit this about us, women primarily the ones that exploit this about black men, but also other men too. Other men, they make, porn sites, they make sex work, they make pay for play opportunities, and like that's largely what the passport bros are going after when they go overseas. They're going and engaging with that shit. So see, there's all these cottage industries. Most of them aren't legitimate, but there's all these cottage industries in the underworld. And this is why a lot of black men have a problem with being around the underworld too, because of degeneracy. Okay? So, now, the reason why degeneracy is such a big problem for the black man in particular is just simply because degeneracy is bad for everybody, but the ways in which degeneracy affects you, if you give in to degeneracy, what's going to happen is you're going to start, like, no matter what your original ideas are, no matter what your ethos is, no matter what you stand for, if you allow degeneracy in, degeneracy corrupts. This is the problem with degeneracy. Degeneracy corrupts no matter what your ideas are. So you can start off with the noblest of intentions and the noblest of ideas, but if you are degenerate, if you give into degeneracy is going to corrupt. Degeneracy is going to corrupt and pervert everything about your entire identity. Perfect example is literally, look at black men who go to prison, for instance. Look at black men who go to prison. Like, see, I already said that black men have a huge problem with degeneracy, but because many of these black men never address this problem of degeneracy, a lot of them, when they go to prison, the degeneracy is already there, but this degeneracy leads to a lot of black men just straight up becoming gay. Okay? Homosexuality is one of the highest expressions of degeneracy, which is why homosexuality fundamentally is wrong. But a lot of black men, they give into homosexuality while they're in prison. And this is a feature of degeneracy, unchecked degeneracy. And what's especially telling about this example too is that most black men are extremely homophobic, extremely anti-gay at their core. Like, black people in general are socially anti-gay, just naturally. We make so many jokes, like, black people make so many jokes and disparaging comments about gays. Blacks don't like gays. But black men end up becoming gay invariably when they go to prison because of degeneracy. Degeneracy corrupted everything about them. And so what is it really to pervert your own sexuality? It's nothing for you to pervert your own sexuality if that's the only way you can engage in degeneracy, because you ain't got no women in prison. You just surrounded by guys. And so degeneracy inevitably leads to black men becoming homosexual in prison, and some of them even get out and continue to prefer homosexuality too, by the way. So now that is a perfect example of why degeneracy is bad. Just like what I said, degeneracy corrupts the mind, it corrupts the soul, and it corrupts the body ultimately. Because homosexuals, they frequently have issues with their anal cavity not being able to hold their bowels anymore. Because it's a perversion of not just the mind, but also the soul. It's a perversion of their emotions, insofar as that they have given in to degeneracy. That's what homosexuality is at its core. And it's also a perversion of the body. Because many homosexuals, they begin feminizing themselves. They begin to make themselves appear as something they are not. They got sugar in their tank. They got female mannerisms. They're a man, yet they behave as a woman. That is a perversion of the body and the soul. So, degeneracy is a big problem for the simple fact of corruption. It inevitably corrupts. And black men hitch their identity up to getting vagina, getting box, getting women. And it's surely not for the purpose of marriage and union. Like, definitely not. Because black men don't talk about these things largely. No, black men talk about sex and romance and mingling with the opposite gender in terms of very juvenile, very whimsical, very, oh, I got this. I'm getting pussy. I'm getting box. You know, sexual relations between a man and a woman is a beautiful thing. It's the foundation and the building block of any society. It's very, very important and crucial. But these sexual relations have to be engaged in a formal way. AKA marriage, child rearing, family. You know, it has to be engaged with from this very formal structure. But black men largely don't engage with it from this formal structure. Black men engage with it from a degenerate standpoint. Degeneracy corrupts. Degeneracy destroys. Degeneracy doesn't lead to anything. Hence why usually the black community just goes to shit because of degeneracy. You know, Keisha, black women, they largely have control over black men because of their degeneracy. You know, Keishas are degenerate themselves in their own way, but they certainly recognize the degeneracy in black men such that this is the main mechanism through which they control black men whenever they decide they need to. You see? All these various different groups of people are able to control the Negro masses of black men through their degeneracy. And not only just that, but as I previously just said, degeneracy leads to corruption of the mind, body, and soul. So, now, usually when I encounter other black men and they start signaling towards me that they are pro-degeneracy, aka they're not trying to get married and they're out here fucking all kinds of strange women without a care in the world for it and thinking that's like something to brag about. Now, anytime I see a black man like that, you know, they're very, very common, by the way. This is why I typically don't hang around black dudes. But anytime a black dude is like this, my immediate reaction to that is disgust. Because here's a black man who is not only corrupting my image before the rest of the world, but he's corrupting himself. you know? And I don't like to see that. It's the same reason why you don't want to hang around a drug addict, or the same reason you don't want to hang around people who are not doing well in life. Is because, perversion of what's good, like the bad things typically spread. They typically corrupt. And I don't want to be corrupted by that degeneracy. And I am inherently not a degenerate person myself. Like, yeah, I have my little kinks and quirks that I do privately that you guys don't know about. But I'm inherently not a degenerate man. No, I don't hitch my self-worth up to the amount of women that I fucked. That's nothing. Each woman that I fucked and not put a ring on is a failure in my eyes. So, but black men largely don't see it this way. Black men see every woman they fuck not as a failure, but as a conquest. Something to be proud of. And it's just not. It's just not. No, because that didn't lead to anything. That didn't lead to a structure. That didn't lead to a new family. That didn't lead to a structured unit of society. That led to nothing. And at best, it led to the further perversion of your mind. So anyways, degeneracy is probably, if not the biggest problem with black men, is at least top 3. Easily. And, whether or not I'll make friends with a black man, this is definitely one of them. Whether or not he is a degenerate, because I myself am not a degenerate. I don't view my worth as a man hitched up to the amount of vagina I have. And you guys might want to say, oh, well, that's really what a man's value is, ain't it? No, it's not. A man's value is about what he creates, not what he fucking puts his dick in. Because in case you didn't know, putting your dick in many holes just results in you getting houses in Virginia, the HIV. What, and I don't really see guys with STDs as high value. I don't see them as high value. I don't think you should either, so. And there is some evidence that just like many sexual partner destroys the mind of a woman, it also does things to a man too. Maybe not as strongly, but it also does things to a man's mind too. It's not good to have many sexual partners, no matter who you are. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. Especially when you don't create anything with any of those sexual partners too. So anyways, I think I've made my point very clear here. Black men, you guys, like, if you are like this yourself, I implore you to do better. I'm not telling you to become a Puritan, but you should aspire to better things in your relationships. You should aspire to get with a high quality woman and build something with her, not fuck a whole bunch of low quality women like a lot of black dudes think is a great thing, and it's just not. Other groups of people are not looking at you as, some high value man, by the way. That's certainly not the case, so it even reflects in the way people view us as a group. But anyways, I've rambled on long enough. This has been Emperor Dion the Lion, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.